Minecraft has had over 17 major updates, but what has been the most anticipated update in the last 12 years of Minecraft? Well, possibly it has been caves, amethyst, mineshafts, lush cave, axolotl, squid, goats, snow, telescope, deep slate, candles, cooper, mountains and much more. Our beloved 1.17 caves and cliffs update. But just imagine that all these had not arrived. Mineshafts, lush cave, axolotl, squid, goats, snow, telescope, deep slate, candles, cooper, mountains and much more. What would they have presented to us in the Minecon 2020? Well, today we are going to find out. For this, we will visit our time machine. What would happen if the Caves and Cliffs update hadn't arrived? Are you ready? Let's go! We are at 1.16, the Nether update. The first thing is that at Minecon 2020, there would be a lot of concern. With Hytale just around the corner, with some great updates, Mojang would necessarily have to satisfy the community with a good update. And if this hadn't been the new caves, there was the possibility of having a new dimension. And this is thanks to the Nether update. Mojang began to build new systems to create dimensions, since the Nether occupies vertical biomes. In this version, Mojang added a new system to create custom worlds and dimensions. Customize the generation, the biomes, the sky, the day, the night, the particles, among many other things. Today, anyone with this knowledge can customize the altitude, the humidity, the temperature of any world, and because of all these changes that Mojang made for the players, it was speculated that there would be a new dimension. Just think about all this for a moment. Mojang touching the dimensions of Minecraft, adding a customization where we could create entire worlds very different from ones we know. With all this data, a new dimension was speculated. Let's remember that several times, Jeff, one of the most important developers, has almost confirmed that there is a dimension between the end and the overworld. Even Jinnerbone, another developer, has said on his Twitter, "I have a ultimate plan with Endermites, but it will wait. May also include a dragon egg, but I haven't discussed this with the team yet. Maybe we would finally have the explanation of why the Endermites are generated when we launch Ender Pearls. It's as if the Endermites were in another dimension." With all this data, together with the new customization of dimensions, it wouldn't have seemed strange to have an update of the end over another dimension. The problem is that making a new dimension would have taken a lot of time and a lot of work. However, being a little more realistic with Mojang's work, making an update like this was too difficult. Although everything indicated that we would have a new dimension, it is not the only update with the possibility of having existed if they had never presented 1.17. As we have discussed before, Mojang had to make their community happy somehow, and if it hadn't been the cave update and not a new dimension, then we're left with something the community has been asking for a long time: the highly acclaimed biome update. Through all the years, they have presented us with various ideas to improve the biomes. On some occasion, Mojang said that it didn't matter who won in these biome votes, since according to them, they would update all these biomes in the future. And in case of not having new caves, this would be the perfect time to get rid of all these plants and make the community happy with all these new biomes. But what exactly would we have seen in this supposed update? Improvements on the plateau. We would have a new variation of cactus. In Mexico, it is known as nopales, and they have fruits called tunas. These tunas can be perfectly eaten in real life, so we would very possibly have a new food on the plateaus. We wouldn't have the luminous billboards, but we would have the tunas, so there wouldn't be much of a problem. In this biome, we would have the rolling bushes. Maybe they could drop sticks, but the funny thing here is that we would have physics in Minecraft that we would never have imagined. These bushes would be able to move, and even that sometimes the air moves them, perhaps this would have given us possibilities for new redstone mechanics. Minecraft players are usually very creative with this type of thing. Vultures were also presented, some scavenger animals in search of corpses, capable of stealing items for explorers. This biome would be a nightmare for people who die. In the swamps, we would have little frogs, cute frogs that we don't know exactly what it would be for. The funny thing is that in a Minecon, we saw how one of these frogs could eat a mosquito. Perhaps it would only be an animation, or perhaps it was right. They could implement a mosquito in the swamps. The main function of this animal is unknown. This biome update would also have arrived. Instead of caves, we would have ships with chests. We could take our items more easily from one place to another. Tell me below in the comments what function you would give these ships with chests. In 2018, we were also shown the desert improvement improvements. So we would have seen the meerkats and the new palm trees in the desert, the foxes, the berries, and also the campfires were already in Minecraft, so we are going to discard this. Finally, the savannas would be missing, with the ostriches, the termites, and the new trees. We also probably would have seen the winning goats, and also the glow squid. So these mobs had they arrived, so the boulder snow, the luminous primitives, and the new banners, we would have seen them too. But what about the mountains? Well, maybe the mountains wouldn't reach as high as we know them right now, since instead of focusing on the mountains, they would have focused on the other biomes. So possibly the mountains wouldn't be as big as we know today. The Moobloom and the Isolayer wouldn't have arrived, since Mojang has said suddenly that these mobs will reach us in Minecraft if they are not really necessary. That would be a super summary if we had a biome update instead of a caves update. That would be a super summary what would happen if we had a biome update instead of a caves update. Possibly you believe too many things, but it is not like that. We're going to see a comparison between the update of the caves and the update of the biomes. If we compare upgrading biomes and caves, you can even see that it's more difficult to upgrade caves, not only because of all the new blocks and items, but it touches on very complex world generation issues, like height maximum and negative layers, while a biome update only adds new mobs to a few blocks and trees are easy to program. With this comparison, I think we can confirm that a biome update wouldn't have been so difficult to add, so if the update of the caves hadn't arrived, very possibly the one of the biomes had arrived. But then, when would the update of the caves have arrived? Well, very possibly, since 1.17 is the biome update, then the cave update would be the 1.18. And here we enter a very interesting topic. If they had released the biome update first, then Mojang would have had more time to think about the things of the cave update. And if they had had more time to think about the cave update, then maybe we never would have seen the archaeology presented. Because when Mojang presented the archaeology at Minecon, a few months later, they realized that it wasn't ready, that they weren't going to be able to implement it at the moment because they still don't have the exact ideas to make it fun. So today we wouldn't know that archaeology would be a possibility in the game too. With all this extra time, maybe the update of the caves would never have been split in two. While they were updating the biomes, maybe they would have come up with a better plan. All this to not split this version and be able to accomplish things like the generation of the caves or even the warden and the deep caves. Today, we know that the update of the caves improves and changes the textures of the minerals, even adding its version of Deep Slate. Well, here is something curious. Even if the update of the caves didn't exist, maybe we have seen the new minerals with their new textures. Logically, we wouldn't see the Deep Slate, but maybe the new textures. But why? Okay, all this because Mojang is constantly adding new features for different abilities. Mojang was urged to implement new things for colorblind people who cannot correctly differentiate colors. Previously, Minecraft minerals were exactly the same and only the color changed, so regardless if the cave update had existed, surely we would have already seen the new textures of the minerals with the new shapes. What these shapes allow is that the colorblind people don't have to recognize the minerals by their color, but also by their new forms. And it would be until the update of the caves, where we would see the version of the Deep Slate. And that has been a small reflection of what would have happened if the update of the caves had not existed. On the left, you have the playlist of this amazing series, and on the right you have a video suggested by the YouTube algorithm.